One night, in times long ago, a man woke up and saw himself. Consciousness developed in him. He saw that he was naked under the dome of space. After those events, the man wandered into the darkness of the starry sky. The next day, the man didn't return home from his trip. When he was found, he was sitting dead by the growing rift. Ooh. Okay. So, this game is called, something I can't pronounce. So let's go play it. In the guts, the last people avoided suicide. You know what? I think there's an English name to this game. I think it's Between the Brain and the Guts, or something like that. I did read it on the itch.io page. So yeah, I got this game on itch.io for free. Let's continue. The people began to understand the world around them with their internal organs. They became thoughtless and found a rescue in a mindless consumption. The next generation of mutants created structures that are hanging in between the brain and the guts. Okay. Continue. The inner world. Okay, we don't want to skip anything. Something has changed. As if I were just a viewer, watching my life so far. My hand, as I had it, but I cannot move it. Ooh. Earthquake? What is going on here? Help! What is happening to my world? My leg, as if I had it, but I cannot move it. It's gonna break. What is happening? I think we broke free from something. Yeah, what is going on here? It must be a dream. I'll walk through this strange cave. I should wake up soon. Okay. Yeah, you got it, bud. Mask, press E. What did that do? Okay. Interesting. Dead mutant on the seat. Press E. Okay. Old paper. With some information on... Oh! Here we go. The building located between the brain and the guts is covered with tissue that has grown throughout the complex. This tissue is two variants, dead and alive. Dead tissue corresponds to the lower levels, to which it is closer to the brain. Living tissue is located in the upper parts of the guts area. Dead and living tissue changes its position cyclically. I hope I said that right. At times, the dead tissue takes over larger areas of the building. In another, it is living tissue that transforms dead tissue. Actually, is that psychically? I'm not sure. So, you know, I mispronounce words all the time. Forgive me. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. That was interesting, though. So, that was the old paper. More stuff. Looks like a lot of suffering down here. Dead mutant and knife. Take the bloodied knife. You've collected a knife. You can kill yourself or others with this knife. Okay. We have the knife. I don't think we really want to kill ourselves. The breeding basins. This game has some weird visuals. Okay. Try to talk. Scream or hit the mutant. Let's try to talk. Hello, sorry, can you hear me? I don't think he hears. You was always tried. Okay, that was us screaming, so now we're gonna hit him. That was a mistake. I have to try something else. Hello, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay, so he can't hear us or anything. Can we kill him? Oh no, what did I do? No, we don't want to kill ourselves. Okay, no. I thought maybe we could put that mutant out of its misery. Okay, so... I guess we'll go this way. There's another one. Talk with mutants. Finally, you find me! Someone will fix my TV. What am I supposed to say? Okay, so... Oh god, I understand what you were saying. Am I going to wake up from this nightmare? No, it's not a dream. You should help me fix the TV. Everything will be fine. Okay. Please tell me what kind of place this is. If I help you, will you help me? Listen, you woke up from something like the Matrix. You're in shock right now. Just like in this movie, remember? Unfortunately, this is reality. If you want to know more, connect this TV. You see the TV? Currently not working. To repair it, new batteries are required. The TV is powered by jars filled with organic liquid. As you can see, they're already empty. Take the jars that are plugged into the TV and replace them with new liquid. You will find it in the breeding basins. You can sense that there is an undried basin somewhere in this area. Fill the jars and plug them back into the TV. Well, since you know what to do, good luck. I'll be waiting here. I'm actually trapped here. Oh, look at that. That sound. That's really familiar. Is that from World of Warcraft? Collect jars. You've collected a used jar. Okay. Okay. So, we need to go find some goo somewhere. Maybe over this way. Tunnel going down, attention, descending to the next level will cause changes on the current floor. Okay, we won't go down yet. We want to try to finish up what we started here. Here's the knife dude. Okay. Don't know what that is. Can we get something here? Fill the jar with liquid. Perfect. You filled the jar with liquid. Press A. Back to the TV. Ooh. We are doing good. I like this weird-ass game. Okay, so... broken TV. Connect the jars to the TV. You fixed the TV! One way to reduce consciousness. Haha! You finally made it. The TV is fixed! Now that the TV is working, we can forget about this gloomy world. Okay, Alright, let's press Q. Okay, talk about what's going on here. I'm sick of this. What is there to talk about? We are born and we die between the brain and the guts. Some mindless force pushes us into this world. We are mindful mutants, and for us, living in this world is torment. Someone or something has created masks and TVs that allowed us to reduce our consciousness and to forget about the outside world. Just as you woke up in this world, I woke up and learned the terrible truth about reality from a mutant just like you. When I woke up, the floor we are on right now was already dying. Those who died with the masks on their heads were the lucky ones. They lived peacefully in their inner worlds until the end. Masks allow us to fully reduce awareness, but for them to work, they need appropriate conditions that ensure the warmth of the guts. There are no such conditions on this floor. I don't know if it's the same on lower floors. I'm unable to move. The TV is my only rescue. Thanks to it, I can reduce my consciousness, at least to some extent. Stay with me, if you want. I doubt that anything good will happen if you wander any further. You recently woke up, so maybe it will be easier for you to reduce your consciousness. What am I supposed to say? I'm gonna go with Q. Not gonna stay with you, I'm sorry. I have to further figure out what's gonna happen. So I think we're gonna go venture down further, so let's do that. I was walking through the dark tunnel, meeting extinct mutants upon my way. It took long enough for my body to slowly turn into a dried shell, the same as all the surroundings around me. I don't know where I was going or why. In order to not go crazy, I focused on the sound of my footsteps. I was hoping I wasn't going around. Wow, maybe we should have stayed up there with the TV lady. I will say we have great boobs. I feel weak. I don't know how many time have passed. Okay. Alright, well, we still have the option to kill ourselves. If we have to. Now we're down here. Interesting. There's a gross looking bed. Another person with a TV. They have their mask on their head. Transfer to the corridor. Attention, due to the demo of the game, when you go to the corridor, you choose one of the possible endings. Okay, are we ready to go to the corridor yet? I did not realize this was a demo. Oh. Good morning. How can I help you? Please calm down. There is no need for such destructive behavior. If you need help, you will find her in the guts. They are just one floor below. Death is the path to nothingness. You better think about it twice, and then decide which path you choose. Okay. Take that cassette. There's a recording that will help you understand our position of the universe. Okay. The booklet that's lying next to you should explain a lot of events that happened recently. There used to be a lot of brochures like this. They're quite a valuable source of information. Okay. Here we go. Oh. Okay. Rise of the Rift. One night in times long gone, man awoke and saw himself. He saw that he was naked under the dome of space. After those events, the man set off into the darkness of the starry sky. As he faced his impending death, just before the last step, he began to grasp the essence and cosmic importance of the act itself. His creative fantasy created terrible new possibilities beyond the curtain of death, and he suddenly realized that even in it he could not find any shelter. At that moment, he stood the outline of his cosmic biological situation. He became a defenseless prisoner of the cosmos, held in it to become a victim of a nameless possibility. From that moment on, he was in a state of constant panic. The next day, he did not return home, and when he was found, he was sitting dead by a growing rift. Since then, the rapture has widened, burdening its area above the valley, and the feeling of cosmic panic became the culminating phenomenon that appeared in the mind of every human being. Okay, and there's some interesting images going on here. The imagery is really interesting. Okay, those castles or towers or whatever, they remind me of artwork and some of the descriptions in a book called Blood in the Mist by Hope Merlis. It's a very early fantasy book, probably 1920s, I think. It's a recommendation by the popular Neil Gaiman. It's a pretty good book. I actually really like it. I think it's one of my favorites. Some people I've given it to can't get through it. I love it. So, there's a suggestion from me about a book. The Rift Creation. It seems that a species has been doomed at a time when all effective activities to preserve and prolong life have been halted, and all individual attention and energy is focused on arresting or lifting this catastrophic tension within them. In those days, during the great epidemics of madness, the last people hid into the gap. People saved themselves by artificially reducing the content of their consciousness. They called the reduction of consciousness the four anchoring mechanisms, and concluded that for the last humans, there are four ways out of this terrible position they have found themselves in. The first way out, the way out of unconsciousness. This is not to see, not to understand that life is evil and nonsense. These people forget about the old world licking the drops of honey accumulated in the tear. After all, they lick these drops of honey only for a while. Most of them, after some time, turned their attention to the dragon and mouse, lurking in the darkness, prototypes of old fears, which caused them attacks of madness and death. Second way out, the way out of Epicureanism. Knowing the hopelessness of life, it consists of temporarily enjoying the pleasures it gives, ignoring the dragon or the mice, and licking honey, especially if you've accumulated a lot of it. So it brings joy, because there is nothing better for a man under the sun than to eat, drink, and experience joy, and this would make him happy in the toil of his life today, which God gives him under the sun. At the wedding, eat your bread and enjoy, drink your wine. Use life with women you love, all the days of your miserable life, which God has granted you under the sun, for all your days of your vanity. Whatever work your hand meets, do according to your strength, for there is no activity or understanding or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol where you are going. Okay, the second exit, the exit of Epicureanism. The people of this road built in the rift, the city located in the upper parts of the road in which these people followed, glorifying joy in death and blinding stupidity. Most people support the possibility of life in this way. Living out the city walls brings them more good than bad, and morally blunting allows them to forget their situation is resultant, that not everyone can have thousands of palaces like their ruler, that for every palace 1,000 people are built in the sweat of their brow, and that this is the case who made Solomon out of me today, can make me his slave tomorrow. Okay. Blunting the imaginations of these people gives them opportunity to forget what disturbed the Buddha about inevitable diseases, old age, and death, which not today but tomorrow will wipe out all of these joys. This is how most people think and feel. The fact that some of them assert that the dulling of their thoughts and imaginations is a philosophy they call positive does not, in my view, distinguish them in a row from those who, without seeing the question, lick off the honey. And I cannot imitate these people without having their sticks of my imagination. I cannot artificially arouse it in myself, as no person living can take his eyes off a mouse and a dragon if he only saw them once. Third way out. The way out of ideological juggling, understanding the evil and nonsense of life, still dragging it, knowing in advance that nothing can come out of it. People of this sort, knowing that death is better than life, but lacking the strength to act reasonably. They went to the lower parts of the breach, which had a biological effect on them. They no longer resembled humans, but mutants. Mutant people became masters of ideological juggling and rationalized their striving for irrationality. Rotating around like myself helped lull my consciousness like them, or in fact, just like their portrayal in their heads. They began to live with the brain, to live not with the brain, but with the guts. Then they began to reason with their guts, thanks to which they found rescue and avoided suicide. In this way, people like me saved themselves from terrible contradictions in 4 ways. However, straining their minds, they cannot see any other ways than these 4 paths. The next generations of mutants created structures suspended between the brain and the bowels. Most of the mutants living inside these buildings were unable to move on their own. Genetic mutations became more and more severe, which meant that most mutants could not decide about their fate, being stuck between the brain and the guts. They could only vegetate inside buildings built by generations. This is weird. The building is covered with tissue that is grown throughout the complex. The tissue is 2 variants, dead and living. Dead tissue corresponds to the lower levels, to which it is closer to the brain. Living tissue is located in the upper part of the visceral area. Living tissue core, the core that cuts across an entire building. Building sections. Wow. The building is covered with tissue that is grown throughout the complex. This tissue has 2 variants, dead and living tissue. Dead tissue corresponds to the lower levels, to which it is closer to the brain. Living tissue is located in the upper part of the visceral area. Living tissue core, the core that cuts across the entire building. The center of the building, dead and alive, the center of the building, dead and alive tissue. Approximately in the middle of the building, a battle for control takes place. Dead and living tissue changes its position cyclically. In some periods, the dead tissue takes over large areas of the building, and in others, the living tissue transforms dead tissue. The lower part of the building is covered with dead tissue, rarely transformed into living tissue. The interior of the building is covered with a dried shell resembling caves. Excuse me. The graph shows the inside of the building between the brain and the guts. The interiors of the buildings are filled with tissue. The die are revived depending on the cyclical period. Inside the building, mutants are born from living tissue, and they also die when the tissue becomes dead. The cycle of decay and nourishment repeats itself, thus giving us momentary life. The interior of the building is covered with a dried shell resembling caves. The graph shows the inside of the building between the brain and the guts. The interiors of the buildings are filled with tissue. The dyes are revived depending on the cyclical period. Inside the building, mutants are born from living tissue, and they also die when the tissue becomes dead. The cycle of decay and nourishment repeats itself, thus giving us momentary life. Yep, I think we just read that actually, but there's a little graph here explaining that further. And this. Okay, so that was very strange, and we are at the end of the book. So I suppose we will stop reading the book. We do have a cassette tape to listen to, so we should go listen to that. I think maybe we can listen to it right here. Alright. Let's do it.
Ludzie żyjący między światami musieli wybierać pomiędzy mózgiem a trzewiami. Niektórzy, mając szansę wyrwać się z układu doczesności, wybierali drogę w dół, docierając do mózgu, jego najciemniejszym granicom. Większość ludzi, lękając się prawdy o ich samych, wracali na główne ścieżki prowadzące ku trzewiom. W duchu epikureizmu, cieple wdechów i wydechów starali się zapomnieć o mózgu, korzystając dalej z rozkoszy, które daje im życie. Trzewiak tych pozostają na zawsze lub kierują się wyżej, ku ustępieniu wyobraźni. W żołądkach jedzą i piją, budują na głowach sześcian, które mają ich odciąć od świata zewnętrznego.
Okay. This is really weird. I don't think I understand this game completely, but it definitely seems like some sort of maybe philosophy type thing we're getting at here. Maybe well, they're talking about how the upper level is the guts, and that's the place where we kind of just ignore what's going on in the world, ignore how bad things are, which is probably why the lady is watching her TV, because she's trying to drown out what's really going on, or how she really feels, or whatever her situation is. The lower we get, it sounds like, is the closer we get to the brain, and I think the closer we get to the brain means the closer we get to the truth, which is probably not a good thing. So we could ignore it forever and be kind of okay, or we could travel down and see what's really happening. So that's what I'm thinking here. I don't know if this is a thing of actual life or death, or it's just some sort of metaphor or something, but it could be that we are dead, maybe, and we just don't want to accept it, and maybe to go lower and lower, we finally just accept it. It's just really interesting that this person chose to do this whole guts and the brain thing. I've never heard of it put this way, or anything like that put in this way. It's an interesting concept that I'm probably not quite grasping. Transfer to the corridor, and we're gonna pick an ending, so. Okay. The end of weakness. The second exit is the exit of weakness. Understanding the evil and nonsense of life, I continue to suffer, seeing in advance that nothing will change it. People of the sort know that death is better than life, but they do not have the strength to act reasonably. I belong to this kind of people. Okay, so, that almost confuses me a little bit more. So we're not dead, right? It's like, what is this game about? I'm not quite sure. Is it like about suicide, or... Okay, let me read that one more time. The second exit is the exit of weakness. Understanding the evil and nonsense of life, I continue to suffer, seeing in advance that nothing will change it. People of this sort know that death is better than life, but they do not have the power to act reasonably. I belong to this kind of people. So is that like the type of person that like knows about all this bad stuff that's going on in the world, going on around them, all the horrible shit, but they choose to do nothing because they're too weak about it? It's just kind of weird that it's like saying instead of death. So like what if we know the world is terrible, one option is to like kill ourselves? That's not a great option. Or maybe that means there's like an option to do something that might risk our life. I'm not sure. This game leaves you with like way too many questions, but it was really interesting. I kind of want to hit social just to see what happens here. Okay, that just loads the social media pages. So yeah, I think I know I rambled a lot here and I'm probably confused, but it was a really interesting game and I really enjoyed it. If we speak about it in a visual context, the graphics were great, very unique, very creepy. The storytelling was really good. It was definitely a complex story that made you think about what just happened. And apparently this is a demo, so there will be a full version, so we'll get even more of it. So I'm very interested in seeing how this turns out as a full game, and I'm gonna go in and read other people's reactions to it as well, and how they interpreted what they saw, because it would be interesting to get other people's takes as well. Okay, so if you like this video, click like. If you really liked me, share the video. If you really like me, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with more horror games. Okay, peace.